Council at Large Cummins.
Here.
At Large Postian.
Yes.
Council Ward number 1 Hembry.
Here.
Ward number 2 Helm.
Here.
And Ward number 3 McNeil.
Here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now down to the agenda approval. Been advised to take number 1 off the agenda, and with that subtraction, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
It's number 1 under city.
Oh, number 1 under city business, yes. So that has been firsted by Postian
Yes.
Second.
and seconded by Cummins.
Hembry,
Yes.
Postian,
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yeah.
Cummins.
All right, so down to communications. This is where you can address the council. I do see that we have 2 callers. So callers, if you would want to address the council, this is the time to do that. All right. Hearing nobody online say anything and nobody here, I'll close that portion of the meeting and we'll move down to the consent agenda. These consist of items that can be enacted with one motion, and it's the approval of the special council meeting minutes from October 24th, approval of the purchase of 54 trees from the Tipton greenhouse, approval of the pay application number 2, and also the change order number 2 for the North Avenue reconstruction project, and then the approval of the claims register, which includes claims paid under the current purchase policy. Do any of these need to be pulled out individually? I think there are none. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
Helm with the first and Cummins with the second.
Postian,
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Cummins, Hembry.
All right, so down to city business number 2, discussion and possible action regarding the request for council guidance concerning city staffing, primarily the electric utility superintendent. Mr. Wagner?
Yeah, this was on a while back. And it was, there was a part A and a part B. This is only what was part A. And it is mainly to do with, as the mayor said, the electric utility superintendent. At this time, when Brian Brennan's time as the interim ended, I appointed John Walsh to take his place. The question I have here mainly is, do you want the position advertised, or would you prefer that we look in-house? And if that means look in-house, then I would work something out with John. Is there a, now, I did put that you could look at other positions too. We have we have a couple of openings for journeyman linemen, apprentice linemen. We had questions about competitiveness, not necessarily with everybody, but with some of our nearest competitors. But the main thing I had in mind tonight was the electric utility superintendent and where the council preferred to go with that.
Well, I think it's always good to have options. No offense, Mr. Walsh, but I think we wouldn't be doing our due diligence if we didn't at least advertise for the position.
How long has he been in the position right now?
Since
No, how long has he been with the city?
You mean with?
with the city?
Since 01.
June. So he's got 21 years here.
But remember, the superintendent also includes the generation too.
Mm-hmm.
just to touch on that, it is important to me that the superintendent have a handle on both line work and generation. And I have spoken to John about that. He's told me he's familiar with the new plant. And he wants to see cross-training done, including himself, with the entire electric utility staff, including himself. So I just wanted to get that out here, that we had talked about that.
Does he have all the qualifications to do the position?
I think if there's one that, well, not, see, now I'm kind of evaluating
Yeah,
somebody in
yeah.
public, and I really ought to avoid doing that.
So, but as far as guidance, we're not looking for like a motion to appoint John. We're looking at whether or not to advertise or then start working with John, right? Or figure something out like that. Is that right?
Well, I guess my main question is, do you want to look internally exclusively, or do you want to look externally too?
I feel like because of the fact that we need people outside of that position as well, that you're smart to advertise it externally, because potentially you're going to get more people with qualifications applying. And then whether you choose one of those people or you choose John to move into that spot, potentially you've got another applicant out there to fill into a different position. Potentially.
Is there a physical job description for the superintendent that highlights and executes each criteria for what you're expecting from them? Whether it be in power production, exterior line, interior, inspections, engineering. Do you have that written out in the city's policy?
There's a description, yeah.
Is it extremely detailed?
I think it is, yeah. Yeah,
It was approved by the wage study that was just done too.
And it also incorporates Louisa's production and our call outs for its energy that we receive
I
as part of
don't,
their responsibilities.
I don't remember it in that detail.
But it's available to look at.
As I look at it in two perspectives, one, it's nice to be able to look outside. But two, if you hold your organization accountable, your succession training should work within itself too. Which would mean after this many years, you would hope a subordinate would be able to fill into positions where attrition takes place. If you as an employer aren't doing that, you're failing as an employer. You know, your apprentice should be able to come up through the ranks and be able to replace what I call the old pole. And if we don't have that, we need to evaluate why management's not allowing that to transpire, why we haven't done that. Because I know when
Well,
PAC.
currently, there's no management over.
Say what?
There's no management there right now.
Why? And
But
the
that
layman
management
person
position-
wouldn't have a care in the world,
Is gone,
you know, so.
possibly because of that.
What was it, 4 years ago, they had issues with Lloyd not being able to wake up the generators? True?
No idea.
Okay.
Well, I don't know
You know, 'cause what
what we
I'm
gain by
looking at-
talking about the past employee.
Yeah,
What I'm getting at is, we as an employer, city of Tipton, need to have the criteria spelled out to a T. What you expect for your electric superintendent. And if we can use an existing employee to fill that slot, why not? They do it in union positions a lot. They do it in big companies a lot. you know. 'cause
So
if you-
but where are you at on this?
Where am I at?
Yeah.
On this question?
Personally, I would like to be able to say, can we evaluate our internal staff and keep it within our community? And if that does not meet each level of expectation, you advertise outside.
So
If
is
they don't
that,
meet the qualifications and requirements,
Yeah, you had a good
you
point.
step
Yeah.
through.
Yeah, you had a good point, but also his experience should be something. So like we might make a motion to do both. You know, look internally, if he meets all the qualifications, then look outside also.
Right, there's not, exactly, there's
I mean,
nothing,
that's a good point you made, but I mean, his 20 years of service,
Mhm.
I feel, should be looked at.
right, there's nothing to say that he can't be hired. into the
Exactly, but I mean,
position.
just, yes, he meets all the
It's just
qualifications. So
that you're
make
opening
a
it
motion
up.
to do both.
Do the one first, you mean?
to advertise first?
Advertise and also, but keep him on this.
Well, he would if you
Exactly.
advertise outside, any internal candidate could apply
Yeah.
too.
Yes.
So
But
then,
I don't want you to have the illusion that you're going to have somebody who perfectly fits every aspect of the job description. And that's not likely. There are some things you do better than others. There are some things you grow into with time. You know, I've been doing this kind of work a long time, and I've always tried to get people who want to be a city manager trained, but that's not always where their ambitions lie. And so, no, they're not interested in learning every aspect of it, or even most of the aspects of it, because that's just not what they want to do. So I guess I'll say, you know, when we first talked about it, not knowing the staff as well, I had certain questions, but in the time that John's taken over as interim, I think we've gotten along well. I like his approach so far. So, I mean, certainly if you want to look on the outside, that is fine. But if we end up with someone from the inside, I think we're fine if that's how we end up.
so we had two given the guidance to go ahead and post it and if that's where it is. There's your guidance.
Is that, well, let's do a motion so we know officially.
Well, Mike had one, but to clean it up a little bit, the motion was to advertise out. Outside.
But I also want to.
Yep.
I know. I just want his years of service.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I mean, that, you can't overlook that.
Nope.
Okay.
What's the motion?
To advertise.
Okay.
And Helm with the first and Cummins with the second.
McNeil,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yeah.
Hembry,
Yes,
Posturing, Helm.
Yes.
Helm and Cummins with the second.
Cummins.
All right, number 3, discussion and possible action concerning an engineering proposal for the downtown possible alley project.
Yes. This one, I had written to the council about whether any of you, plus the mayor, had an interest in looking at the idea of reconstructing, for the most part, the two main alleys between 6th and 4th. Yeah. And largely because it's going to be, I think, an informal or unofficial detour when the Highway 38 project is happening. That area of Highway 38 is going to be done in 2024. So if there is any idea of trying to put it into new concrete in 2023, this would be an opportunity to have it put into plans and specs and bid in the winter for construction in 2023. I was about to, stop pursuing it. I sent out one last email saying that I hadn't heard from anybody, and that's what I intended to do. At that point, Abby and the mayor said they had an interest in talking about it here at the council level. To do the design and bid specs, it is quoted at $16,300. And if you want, you can just go that far and just leave the design and bidding for another date. If you do pursue it and award a bid, the construction oversight by the engineer would be another $21,500, or a total of $37,800. So I guess the question is, do you want to consider doing a project in those 2 blocks of the downtown alley?
Linda, can I ask you to come up for a second and talk about some of the stuff that other towns have done with their downtown alleys?
So a lot of communities now are using alleys for pedestrians. And there are many aspects that you have to look at. You have to look at deliveries, how often there are deliveries. That's a big thing. Garbage. So a community that just has been working on their alleys for a while here is Marion. So I called Brooke Pruitt, who was instrumental in getting the alleys, and then there was a streetway that they had done downtown for their community, and this pedestrian alley. They received a $350,000 grant. Their alley and streetscape, it was about $1 million to do, but it's pretty elaborate. And what they did is they focused on a lot of art. So I decided it was worth a road trip to go and get a little more information about that, because I've been told there's a lot of foot traffic. I know what foot traffic's behind me, and I also know what kind of traffic is behind my office. And I know behind my office, we've got semis coming. We have semis that go to Keller's and unload. And when the Mexican restaurant used to be there, the deliveries were made back there too. So, you have to look at lots of different aspects. But there has been a lot of foot traffic, honestly, between the Rickery and L&B's. And so I thought it was worth investigating just a little bit to see how we can enhance some of our alleys. That was another reason too, why with the Rickery, we got a mural going, and I talked to Austin Milligan about his building in the back to make things more attractive for people. When I was in Colorado, Fort Collins, they have done this. This is not anything that's brand new. This is up and coming. And if you decide that this is something that the city of Tipton that we'd be interested in, it would be a project that we would have to look for grants. You even have to look at, and Brooke even had mentioned, because I tried to think of all the different kinds of aspects. And one of the aspects was garbage. Where did these people take their garbage? And we talked about that. How do they unload? Because there are bars and restaurants in that vicinity too. They're right there. How did this happen? And those are the things that we talked about, because their hiccups make it easier for us, because they had to figure it out first, how to get through the hiccups. So this, I don't know, I think honestly, and I will be very honest about this, we have been working very, very hard to make Tipton a destination, a place that people want to come and look at maybe some of our art. They do come and look at the murals. They come and look at the Freedom Rock. We're trying to make it, I see them because where my office is positioned. And so when they come, it only helps our economy. It helps us because then they're going to the restaurants and they are shopping. And an example, when the churches did their Pumpkin Fest, I had talked to Carrie, the minister at the UCC. When we do things downtown, they had visitors stop that were going through Tipton. and they talk to her. Well, that's what I want too. And that's what I want for our community. When people are driving through, they see something that is very interesting to them and they want to stop. And so the pedestrian walk in the alleys is something that is not new, but it's just something maybe we can think about. And I can do a little more research on this. Again, starting to do the research. So what I did then is I asked Brian and Melissa to go with me too, to look at this alley. I took many, many pictures. And I'm just hoping that our future holds that this is something that the council would be interested in having me pursue, and getting more facts. And then also looking at different grant opportunities that we maybe could make this reality. I have talked to some of the businesses, not all of them, some of the businesses to see what type of reaction I would get from them, and they like it. So just, I guess, think about this, and I'm very happy to answer questions. And actually, I'm happy to take 2 council members at a time. If you want to do a road trip with me, then let me know. And the mayor, I'm happy to set things up. You can ask all the questions you want. I've asked a lot of questions, but if you want to have a visual on what I'm really talking about, that would be great, a great opportunity if you think that it's something we need to look at in the future.
Thank you, Linda.
Just from an infrastructure point of view, I guess I would invite Steve to give a comment too, but at least in my more layman opinion of it, those 2 blocks are in poor condition. And if they're not, they have to be done sometime. If they're not done in 2023, they can't be done in 24. And so then the earliest after that would be 2025. So it's a matter of time, and it's a matter of doing it and choosing when.
Steve?
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point, Brian. Both those alleys, especially between Fifth and Fourth, that alley is in really rough shape, and it has been for a long time. There's been a lot of patchwork done in there, asphalt patching. There are a couple of alleys in downtown that have concrete that we, as a city, I don't believe did years ago. I think behind the Hargrave block, I think they did that. We have patched some back in there with concrete. But if we're gonna do anything in those alleys, and something, like you said, Brian, something will have to be done at some point. 2 things. I think concrete is the answer. We have all the infrastructure in place right now. Underground, I think that we'll ever need. Now, I never know what the future is, and none of us do, but we're getting rid of all that overhead electric, and we've got underground internet now. So I think for the most part, they're ready to be surfaced. Another question I had, and Brian and Leslie, you can maybe speak on this. Do we need to have grants to do that? If we have to have grants, that's kind of a tough thing.
No.
See, that's what I want the council.
I'm
to
talking more about like the arts.
The aesthetics.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, not the pavement.
Okay, because ideally, when we've talked about this, Brian, wouldn't this be the time to tie that kind of a thing in with the 38 project and with a geo bond or whatever? The estimate that I gave you guys last month or whenever it was, based off some rough numbers that I got off of All Americans items for that 10th Street edition. I think it was 45 or 50,000, something like that. It's in that, that's a ballpark. And this is no big surprise, but I can tell you that next year concrete's gonna be more. I got a letter from Manats that said 5 to 8%, without a doubt it would be that much. And that could change every week. If we're gonna do something, I think now would be the time to do it. I know with a lot of contracts, these guys, the contractors are getting contracts with Manats, with Pearl. so that they can lock in those prices. Down the road, I think we've got a lot of uncertainty.
Hey, John, could you come up, please?
Can I add one thing too?
Yeah.
So, John and I actually walked the alley from Fifth to Sixth the other day because I thought that electrical eyes need to be on this alley too. And so John had some very good ideas too. So we're all trying to think outside the box. But if you drive down the alley between Fifth and Fourth, you guys did just patch something. There are potholes in there that are very deep. They are deep. And actually, there was a pothole that was near Miss Molly's building that it looked like it was quicksand seeping. So if somebody is walking back there at dark, because there's no lights back behind Fifth and Fourth, they could get hurt. Or a car, sometimes going back there, there could be great damage done to a vehicle too. And if you haven't seen it, I really invite you to come up and you can do it yourself, or I'd be happy to walk you through it. So, but I wanted you to know too, that John and I looked at the electrical part of this, because the infrastructure, there are many moving components to this, and just wanted to add those two things.
Thank you much. John?
So would this be the technical poles? Isn't MediaCom on those? I mean, don't they pay us?
They don't pay us. Those aren't our poles anymore. We don't have 2 or 3 poles, and that'd be between 6th and 5th. We don't have anything down between 5th and 4th.
So those poles, I mean,
Windstream.
Windstream.
Windstream is getting their stuff off of there. MediaCom, if they have stuff, would be the only hold up on it. Everything.
Yeah, I wanted to ask John to come up because I think we were talking recently and you said there was more work to do in the alley. Is it just the poles or is it something more than that?
I have work to do between 6th and 5th, between Courthouse and the Rickery. We have a lot of aerial secondary that's there. The primary is all underground. It's been that way for a long time. We've worked on some of the secondary. It's gonna have to be all open dig. It's so congested back there. And I told Brian, I was like, I'm pretty short-handed the way it is, so we're gonna ask for Public Works to help out on open digging this. I was like, I can't open dig and do all the work. I was like, it'd be so much easier with other department help. I can do the actual work that needs to be done, and they can do the actual digging that needs to be done. But yeah, without that help, I don't honestly see when I can honestly do it.
So we have to, if the council goes ahead with this, we have to make the engineer aware of that.
Yeah.
And I know we had worked on a streets plan. Would this funding impact any of those projects?
The project that is being engineered now is what we've called North Plum or North Plum north of North Street. No, that's in a CIP that we've been banking road use tax funds in. And so this would be more likely a candidate to roll into the GO bond for the 38 project, yeah.
Well, we know something has to be done.
But yeah, you think with the help between all the departments?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm just
Yeah.
so short-staffed.
Brian?
Them soft spots in the portions behind the bakery, I really suspect of the sewer line up through there. You probably ought to be either line or replaced. And then when you get to the next alley north, the manhole lids are really sketchy. You can look down through, shine a flashlight down through, see holes and pockets underneath. So I would at least assess the sewer line, take a look at it. And I don't mean televise them, because we televise them all day long and you don't find any problems. They're still there. They hide from the camera. So
All right, so it'll be is there gas too? Is there gas back there? Like bring them all?
Oh, yeah, there's
Yes.
one back there.
Okay, you guys play flag football, bring in the rec department. So we have all of the departments there?
What it takes.
Well, I would say, Superman, we'd be happy to work with John.
Yeah.
Project, the public, if I've got an operator or two left.
Yeah, Yeah.
comes around.
we'll find out. All right, so but concerning this engineering proposal, is there a motion one way or the other?
I would make a motion.
Cummins with the first.
I'll say.
Posner with the second.
Cummins?
Yeah.
Hembry?
No.
Postian?
Yes.
Helm?
This is to go ahead with Linda's project.
No, this is, no. Linda's would be a whole different thing. This is just the concrete.
Yes, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. McNeil?
No. All right. Moving on to the next one, discussion of possible action concerning the industrial theater project. John?
So I've got three things on
Right.
the list. First on the, is the 600 ampere elbows and terminators. Terminators will attach to our poles when we take them up to tie into our feeder lines, and they also attach inside the switchgear and the new power plant. Those numbers changed a little bit because in hindsight, we have 6 wires, not 3 wires for phasing, parallel and everything. And that's why the counts were off.
Mhm.
And taking that into consideration, the 2 switch gears that we had ordered previously, had the same situation. 6 wires coming in, but I only have 1 landing spot for all those, so I gotta make those 6 into 3 to land them and take them back out. So that's where the counts are different, and I had to add those in. The other one is the, I believe the fiber optic. That's to communicate to these 3 pieces of switchgear that we're gonna be utilizing. So we could actually operate them from power plant, or either power plant, because they'll be part of our SCADA, or we can actually go out there and physically manually operate them also. So I had to wait for Sherman Co to give me costs on those fiber optic terminations.
And just out of pure curiosity, what's the lead time on them?
Those?
Yeah, on
Actually,
any of
not
that?
too bad, because I had
Really?
the same thing. He said he can get them in 6 to 8 weeks.
Dang.
I'll make a motion.
Henry with the first and Poston with the second.
Hembry?
Yes.
Postian?
Yes.
Helm?
Yes.
McNeil?
Yes.
Cummins?
All right, next one, which is a possible possible action that would concern restocking the inventory of LED streetlights. Yeah.
I sent you guys some information. Those lights that we used to use were about 200, 250 bucks. Now they're north of 700. I get them vandalized at the park all the time, especially by the softball field. I just used my last one. They're just the pole top that go on top of those poles. I gave you another option. I think they look better. I've seen them on REC's sub for by Bennett, and I've seen them in other locations in Loudoun. The only thing is I can only get a minimum of 10. And that they're cheaper. They're $650, I do believe, instead of $725. Maybe you guys like those half lights that we currently have. These other ones I'm proposing are more vandal proof, but I haven't had my actual hands on them, so I'm just going by what salesman tells me. They are more indestructible. What happens is they throw softballs or rocks at the current lights, break the refractor. Birds get in there, they'll nest, the whole picture's shot. I've replaced that one at least a half dozen times. Just that one. So, questions on these? I think they look nice.
Motion to attend.
Can you put them somewhere else?
I'd like to see how these look and actually put them in the housing development golf course, and if I like them.
Eventually, they pay for themselves.
Yeah, they're all LED, yes.
Motion.
Ones I have up there aren't LED.
All right, then we've had a motion from Hembry and a second by Postian.
Postian,
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
Hembry.
Yes.
All right, next up is an ordinance that would amend the stop and yield required. It's the section 65.01. This is the first reading, but if the council would so want to do, we could suspend the rules and then approve all three readings and then bring the rules back in. So they'd be all tonight.
I'll make a motion to do that.
Okay, can't remember. Wait, we got to make a motion to approve the first reading.
Right.
Motion to approve first.
Second.
Pasha with the first and Cummins with the second.
Helm,
Yeah.
McNeil,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
Postian.
Yes.
All right, and then Pasha, you made the motion to suspend the rules.
To proceed to the second and third.
Yep, to proceed to the second and third readings.
Second.
Pasha made it, I heard Helm with the second.
Who was the first?
Pasha,
And
Helm made the second to suspend.
Helm,
Yes.
McNeil, Cummins,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
Postian.
Yes.
And then motion to approve the second and third.
Well,
Wait.
second first.
Sorry, yeah, the second.
Motion.
Pasha with the first and Cummins with the second.
Helm,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
Postian.
Yes.
And then finally, motion to pass the third reading. Helm with the first and Pasha with the second.
Come on.
You got it, Justin.
Helm,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
Postian.
Yes.
And then finally, a motion to reinstate the rules.
Motion.
Pasha with the first
Second.
and Cummins with the second.
Helm,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Cummins, Hembry,
Yes.
Postian.
Yes.
All right, so now moving on to number 7, this would be a resolution that would approve the Iowa Department of Transportation Federal Aid Agreement for the 38 Cedar Street project. It's a $2 million grant that was signed into law that the city had been awarded. And that's about it.
Make a motion to approve.
Pasha with the first to approve and Cummins with the second.
McNeil,
Yes.
Cummins, Hembry,
Yes.
Postian,
Yes.
Helm.
Yes.
The number 8, this would be a resolution that would approve the street finance report for road use tax funds and the city streets and parking. Melissa?
It's an annual report that we have to file with the DOT each year. In summary, we received $437,093 in road use tax funds last fiscal year, which was slightly lower than what we received in the year prior, but it's over our budgeted amount. That was good. Our road use tax expenses totaled $561,252, which mainly consisted of the Mulberry Street project. So then our ending balance then in road use tax as of 6/30 was $195,462. So
All right, any questions on that report? Seeing there is none, is there a motion to approve this report? Cummins with the first
Second.
and Helm with the second.
Cummins,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
Postian,
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes. All right, so number 9 is a closed session. So when we do approve this, I'll ask everyone to leave. And then there is an open section at the end that everybody would be allowed back in after that. But if there's a motion to go into closed,
Motion. Second.
Pasha with the first and Cummins with the second.
Hembry,
Yes.
Postian,
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Cummins.
Yes.
All right.
Melissa,
Well,
how do you want me to,
let
Do
you
you need to-
know after
do you want me to stop the
this
recording
and
or
we go
just
back in.
mute?
I want you to lock it after you.
So whoever else is on
remove
there
caller too.
is online, we'll have to put you into a waiting room and then allow you to come back in. Nope. No.
Oh.
do not.
No, lock it. Yep.
But leave it recording, okay? Because last
Yep.
time I pushed that.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Everybody is offline and now everybody else left.
If you
This
want, we can
is
stop the
currently
recording.
recording.
We could stop the recording and record on your phone.
But isn't this how you, isn't that how you wanted it last?
We just won't be able to publish this one because we've recorded the full thing. So
So-
that's,
I
we just
can do
won't
either.
publish.
Yeah, I would pause this.
So pause the recording on this.
Okay.
We'll leave it live though,
Yeah.
and we'll record on your phone.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so now we are back into open session and we're to the final item under the city business, number 10, which is discussion and possible action involving wage increase for public works employee. It needed to be amended to say employee. Is there a motion?
I will make a motion to proceed as directed
A
in
second.
the closed session
For the amended
for the
employee.
amended employee.
I second. Cummins with first and Helm with second.
Hembry,
No.
Passion,
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
McNeil,
No.
Cummins.
Yes.
All right, then that takes us down to the reports. First up is the mayor's report. I don't have anything this week. Council report? Committee reports, city manager? Nothing. And department heads? All right, then that brings us down to adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second,
Cummins with the first and Helm with the second?
Helm,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
Passion.
Yes.
All right, we are adjourned, everyone. Thank you.
Thank